Hi there, I'm certified financial planner Wes Caprill, and this is Wealth Wise Women, the show that's rewriting the narrative that personal finance and investing are just for men and just for insiders. Because whether or not the rest of my industry realizes it, the future of wealth in the United States is female, and I aim to foster that future one episode at a time. So join me as I attempt to add humor and entertainment to the otherwise snooze fest that is personal finance, addressing along the way various topics from the lens of how they affect women in particular. And if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe to our channel and our newsletter, the link to which you can find in the episode details. That being said, let's get to this week's episode. Hello there and welcome to another episode of the show. You know, I think there are times in life where you look back and you go, I'm glad I did this, or I'm glad I didn't do this. And when I was researching this week's topic, I was reminded how I'm glad that I never opened for myself a personal Instagram account. And I've only ever had Instagram on my phone once for a very brief period, and that was because we had started an Instagram account for Money and Clarity. I have since turned over responsibility of that to an outside party because I was reminded when I was on there how much of, frankly, a cesspool social media can be. I started seeing all the personal finance related Instagram accounts out there and realized that a lot of it is bad advice. Maybe another time I'll start scrolling through it and make that a series on the podcast of debunking various things that are put out by the finfluencers that I have spoken about before. But this week's episode is about money dysmorphia. It's a bit of a newer thing out there. It's not exactly an officially defined health issue, but it's definitely something that I think is very, very relevant in today's world. One therapist had a great definition of it. Money dysmorphia is the distance between a person's perceived financial status and their actual financial reality. Now, I think that money dysmorphia has probably always existed. I mean, it's nothing new keeping up with the Joneses. I think that goes back, it could be 100 years, maybe even longer, when consumerism really became a thing. The rise of the middle class, people had disposable income, and it was all about having the new shiny object. Especially when you're living in a neighborhood, your next door neighbor gets a new car, why don't you go get a new car kind of thing. But you would have a tough time proving to me that social media is not the reason behind why money dysmorphia is growing at an increasingly rapid rate. I mean, dysmorphia in general, I feel very, very bad for young generations whose entire lives are spent around social media these days. I was lucky while social media was coming out during my teenage years and whatnot. I never really got into it all that much, thankfully, and it's been something that I've been successful staying away from. But I think that's because my generation, or at least my peer group, still isn't bought into that being the overall experience. So older generations, this may not be as applicable, but I think over time it's going to become even more so. Again, I'm finding in my role as a financial advisor also being a bit of a money therapist. And I think when it comes to this topic of money dysmorphia, that's definitely going to be something that will need to be addressed for everybody, rich and poor. Unfortunately, what we see now on social media is all of this ultra luxury. It's the idea that not just, the influencers out there, but also your friends and neighbors only posting about all the good things that are happening in their life. It seems like that person's always taking a vacation or that person's always buying something new. And the issue with it is that we're always seeing this consumption. We're not tracking the fact that, okay, it's, one person posted a bunch of vacation photos. So we're seeing all of these different vacation photos and we're misconstruing it as, everybody's going on vacation. No, it's probably just that one person's one vacation that year and that one person's one vacation that year. But we're surrounded by all of this. We're surrounded by messages of consumerism and all of these different things that are bombarding us and having us think that, are we falling behind? Am I not keeping up with my peer group? I think, we struggle with that as human beings. Again, it goes back to keeping up with the Joneses. It's been something that has plagued humans probably forever and probably always will, but is amplified even more so by social media. And this trend, unfortunately, just becomes worse and worse over time. And it's led to what's called FOMO spending, fear of missing out. So we're spending money on things that we don't necessarily want or need if we really sat down and thought about it personally, but instead we're seeing all of these people buy these new things. They're like, oh, I have to go get that too. It's kind of an epidemic. And I would say it's probably a lot of the reason behind why consumer debt in the United States has reached an all-time high. Yes, one could argue, well, the population's growing bigger, so wouldn't consumer debt grow with that? Yes, but it's grown at an even increasingly higher rate than that. Last figures are in the trillions of dollars, multiple trillions of dollars. And unfortunately, I could see that being the next bubble to burst, if you will. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But, social media becomes this pressure cooker of expectations that we put upon ourselves instead of sitting back and looking at everything that we do have. I mean, it's a lesson as old as time, not comparing yourself to others, but being appreciative for what you have. Unfortunately, I don't think it's something that all of us will ever master, but I think it's something that we can at least make it part of our daily routine or our regular routine, stepping back, taking a look at everything we have, being grateful for our current place in life, being grateful for what we have, and trying to put the blinders on and go, that's not real. What I see on social media isn't actually real. Instead, let's focus on what is in front of us and realize that life is very good as it is now, especially if you're somebody who is fortunate to have a lot of things going for them. Just because somebody else on social media is touting this or that or flaunting this or that doesn't mean that you necessarily need it. One other thing too that I think plays into this overall money dysmorphia, and I see this more and more, it's a lot like dieting. We see these budgeting tactics out there. To be honest, I didn't even go into some of these loud budgeting or no spend challenges. Budgeting, I think, is, like I said, it's a lot like dieting. There's a lot of different fads out there. And ultimately, the equation's rather simple. Don't overeat, don't undereat, eat the right amount for yourself. And it's the same with spending. Don't live outside your means, but don't feel the need to live a Spartan lifestyle just to save money. Find a system that works for you and then stick to that system over time. Just like everything in life, moderation is key, but enjoy life as well. Find out what works for you and then build a plan around that accordingly. Another one that I think is that is fueling people's ability to buy into money dysmorphia is this concept of buy now and pay later. The latest one I saw was Klarna. I think is a service out there that offers this. Coachella tickets. Over 50% of people who bought Coachella tickets, the music festival out in Palm Springs, bought them on payment plans. So they bought them now and are paying them over time. And this is nothing new, but it's becoming more and more common. DoorDash or Grubhub, one or the other, is allowing you to pay for your meal deliveries over time. I mean, I'm sorry, but you should not be paying for your delivery burrito on Layaway. If you can't pay for that up front, then you shouldn't be getting food delivered. And that might sound crass for me to say, but that's the truth. And so these buy now, pay later traps are enabling people to keep up with the Joneses falsely. They think, I can afford that lifestyle, and you can't. You're going into debt to try and keep up, and this is just kind of masking it, if you will. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out ultimately, but it's key that you avoid these traps. When it comes to budgeting, find something that works for you, and then there's a couple things that you can pay for over time that you can take out loans on. A mortgage, obviously, card payments are generally more accepted. But if you're paying for everything on Layaway, buying now and paying later, then it's time to sit down and really reassess your financial situation. There are some solutions to all of this. Like I said, again, limit your social media exposure. I think that's the key. Number one, I'm guilty of it myself, just doom scrolling Facebook and watching stupid videos. But then you see all these ads and all these other things lifestyle-wise. It's all about grabbing our attention. And I'd love to see the day when social media gets completely eliminated. I'm just hoping over time, we learn to strike a balance in our lives between social media and just living in the moment. That is very, very crucial, to just put the devices away and live in the moment. There are popular budgeting apps out there that you can use that aren't trendy by any means. But again, like I said, just find a system that works best for you. Set your own financial boundaries, and then, focus on your personal goals. Find out what it is that you really want in life, and then find out how your financial situation can enable you to live that life. Don't focus on what other people are doing. Don't focus on what your neighbors are doing, or gosh forbid that Instagram influencer you know nothing about. Focus on yourself, figure out what it is that you want in life, sit down and be introspective and understand what it is that you want, and then put together a financial plan that enables you to achieve that. And again, that is where a financial advisor can be beneficial for you. We don't just specialize in putting together numbers. We're also there to help you with all the other emotional pieces. Planning for your financial future, planning for retirement is a very emotional experience, and there's a lot of intangibles to consider. So it's, just like we get therapy for our own mental health, it doesn't hurt to find a professional for your own financial health. So please don't hesitate to reach out. Go to visitwithmc.com. It's a brief conversation. If you just want to see what we're all about, just schedule a quick 15-minute call with me. Phone call, Zoom, whatever is best for you. But I'd love to sit down and discuss how we can help you, really rein in your financial circumstances and create for you a plan that makes you happy. Not everybody else, but you. How is it that we can put you on the plan to your success? That being said, hope you enjoyed this quick, short episode, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.